Today was Valentine's Day. I was like, oh, okay. We'll see a lot of study on it.
Hey, weirdo!
Free to get emails this morning about like, oh, so what's going on? What's happening? Oh, okay, good.
I'm just kidding.
Okay, but no. Anyway, that's right. I'm gonna keep
Wow.
I know, but it's right there.
minute.
Like, how would you feel?
Yeah.
My mama did.
How would you feel?
No, that wasn't my dad. But I watched it.
What if you did?
Oh, like,
Just say like if you did. No, you wouldn't. You
you would.
No, because like, I was in the middle of my I was there.
Yeah. Okay, just get it.
I was like, really, that shit is like, no, it's just like, I was like, yeah. I was gonna say to you, like, maybe we went better like now she's not coming today, she gotta take her out. I'm so mad. Amen isn't in today, so Kim didn't know. So they're
Alright, you guys, thank you so much for being patient. We're just waiting on one class to come down, and then we'll go ahead and get started. So just make sure that you have your iPads away, your phones away, and all of that good stuff. Alright? So I'll give it about 2 more minutes, and then we'll get started.
Good morning, darling. What's my name? I told you yesterday. What's my name? Okay, yeah. Who was that? Oh, hold on.
You just told me that I act like I didn't hear it. I'm not gonna remember. Kayla? I won't forget her. I can't forget her. My niece's name is Kayla. I can't forget it. So yeah, we'll probably just have 10 minutes, so we're a little late, and then a few more minutes after for the Q&A. And I'm pretty sure they forgot that one of their kids was supposed to introduce you. So we'll just go ahead and get started.
That's the one I did. I don't know what's
Is it? It's McElroy, right? I always make sure I say that right.
About what? We came the other way.
Oh, y'all came the other way?
Our class one, she's still. There you go. I already got my. It's like not like no, it's like how she said like I don't like
love, just love. Just love. You ain't got no Valentine, no stuff.
Who is that for?
All right, it looks like everyone is here. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Happy Valentine's Day. Happy Singles Awareness Day. If you don't have a Valentine, love yourself, all right?
I do love myself.
All right, good. All right, so, all right, bring it in. Bring it in. Bring it in. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. We're a little short on time, but we want to make sure our speaker gets as much time as possible to come and talk to you guys today. Not often I feel like you guys get to actually see like students who are in like medical school and get their perspective as actual students who are studying, so you guys can have some relatable experiences. So I want to introduce Imani McElroy. She's going to come talk to you guys about her experiences. Her, ladies and gentlemen, please, let's show that we have respect for people who come and donate their time. You are reflecting yourselves, your parents, the school. So let's make sure we're on our best behavior, okay? Okay. All right, thank you. All right, Money, come on up.
Good morning, everybody. So thanks for having me today. It's a pleasure to get to chat with you guys for a sec. As LaShawn was saying, I'm in medical school. I'm a fourth year, meaning I'll be graduating in a couple months. I'm going to be going into general surgery. At the end of med school, you kind of pick what specialty you're going to practice in. So for the next 7 years, I'll be training as a general surgeon. I don't find out for about a month or so where I'll be going just yet. We're in the application process. But yeah, so I'm here to talk to you a little bit about going into medicine, kind of the steps I used to get there. I'm currently at the UCLA program. It's a great program. It's a lot of fun. It's very rigorous, but I do have a lot of fun. I don't know, medicine's a very wide, it's a very big field. There's a lot of different things you can do within it. So if there's any interest in science, that's a good way to kind of go into, you can help people, you can treat people, you can do a lot of research. But for me to get there, I'm originally from the Bay Area, so I went to school up there. And then I started college out in Virginia. I was on a full scholarship to a program out there. It was a really great program. I just was a little bit far from home, and I was dealing with some family issues, so I transferred back to UC Irvine. I graduated from UC Irvine some time ago, won't give exact years. And then I went home and worked for a little bit, raised some money so that I could afford to apply to medical school. And then 4 years ago, I started at the UCLA program. Going into this process, I knew I wanted to be a doctor from a pretty young age. I was just, you know, always really fascinated with the field. I liked spending time at the hospital, understanding what doctors did. So for me, I was a little bit weird in the sense that I knew what I wanted to do going into college. So for me, I was a biology major, so I majored in sciences. But a lot of my classmates did other things. I have a good friend of mine who majored in art, a good friend of mine who majored in English. So there's a lot of different ways you can get to medicine without going the traditional, just go into science route. So even if your interest isn't specifically in science, there's a lot of different ways to get there if you find out later on that you want to go into medicine. Since coming to medical school, I'm a part of a smaller program at UCLA called the Charles Drew Program. It's over in Willowbrook. It's next to the old MLK Hospital, if anybody knows where that is. So for us, we have a special focus that we focus on urban underserved medicine, meaning that it takes a lot of students who come from underserved areas, meaning they don't have a lot of resources, they don't have a lot of funding for their schools, for their hospitals, and so they have a lot of health disparities. They have a lot of health issues that otherwise should be normally treated. You know, you have a lot of things that affect these communities, whether it be lack of access to care, lack of access to food, lack of access to anything really that you can think of. And so we focus on serving those patients. We focus on training in those neighborhoods. And a lot of us actually come from neighborhoods like that. I grew up in East Oakland. So for me, it was a very important goal of mine to get back to my community and to be able to get back to those people who helped raise me, to get back to being able to be a doctor so that for the first time in my life, I could treat patients who look like me. Because growing up, I've never had a doctor who looked like me. And I'm not that old, so it shouldn't be that crazy that I've never had a doctor that's ever had the same skin color as me. So for me, it's very important that eventually I'll go back to Oakland and work in Oakland. And from there, we'll see what happens. Any other things I'm supposed to address?
Oh. I would say talk about maybe the toughest time you've had so far in medical school.
Let's see. Probably the toughest time I've had in medical school was earlier this year. I was working in the surgical ICU, the surgical intensive care unit. And we had a patient who had been in a really bad car accident. She'd gotten T-boned, and she was on the side of the car that got T-boned. And so I spent 4 weeks with this patient every day outside of her room, trying to help the team adjust her medications, help get her to a point where she was up and she was talking to us. For most of the time, she was intubated. She had a tube down her throat, couldn't breathe on her own. Her fiance was at her bedside a lot of the time. So it was a very long, hard process of spending most of my day, which usually starts about 5 a.m., sitting next to her bedside, checking her vitals, seeing what we could be doing to kind of change her care and be able to get her back to where she was before her accident. So I think the hardest part about that is because you realize that you can't really control everything, but you can put all of your work into it, you put all of your effort into it, but it's a lot of long, hard hours. And I was just dedicated for one patient, when on top of it, I had 6 other patients to take care of. So you get pulled in a lot of different directions in medicine. There's a lot of emergencies that happen in medicine, but you learn to kind of balance your time, and you also give that same dedication that I had to that one patient, I had to give to my 6 other patients. And so there's a lot of times where I'd come in at 5 a.m. and go home at 7 p.m. and have enough energy to say hi to my grandmother, eat and fall asleep and wake up and do it again the next day. But at the same time, for me, I felt that it was worth it. At the end of those 4 weeks, we actually were able to get the tube out of the patient's throat. We were able to send her home with her family. She's still in rehab, but it's a great thing that when you come in and who was on the very edge of death, paramedics didn't think she'd survive, and you see her walk 4 weeks later. So that was probably the most emotional time that I've been through in medicine, the most stressful time. I'm sure there's plenty of times that are going to come with my training in the next few years because I plan to go into trauma critical care. But I think as a med student, that was the most involved I'd been in patient care that far to that point, and so it was very stressful as the med student because there's only so much we can do without our actual licenses as well. We don't have our degrees yet, so we don't have licenses, so our hands are tied in a lot of different ways. But it was a really great experience in the long run, but definitely probably the most stressful one I've had so far.
Okay, so we have like maybe 5 minutes for questions.
Let's go.
Does anybody have a question?
Is there a limit to how many patients
So for me as a med student, there's more of a cap, about 5 or 6, what I feel comfortable carrying. Next year when I'm an intern, that number can jump from anywhere to 8 to 15. So you kind of make do with what you got to do. But you have entire teams with you. There's people over you that oversee all of your work as well. But most teams cap out at about 15 per person. So, and that's like at the really big places like UCLA. So it just depends on specialty too.
Actually, I have another question. What other activities were you involved in school versus just focusing on like your studies? What else did you have to do to prepare yourself?
Med school, or
just in general in life.
General?
Yeah.
So for me, a big thing I've always done is volunteering. I like to volunteer. I like to volunteer at food pantries. I volunteered at a nursing home. Another big thing for me is mentorship. So I've always been involved with people who are younger than me. I think it's important to always give back to the people behind you and help them get to that next level. So I've always been involved with that. I have a niece who's a couple years older than you guys, so I've always used her as a way to help mentor people from back home. In college, I was a member of a sorority. I'm still a member of a sorority. I'm a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. So for them, I served as a chapter president, which helped us with a lot of the different activities that we did, including volunteering and leadership and mentorship. In medical school, I'm the class president. I've been a class president all 4 years. I've used that as a way to kind of continue to be involved in a lot of different things. I've helped organize health fairs. I've helped organize food drives. So I don't know. I've been a bit of a busybody my whole life. So I always kind of have a lot of things going on. And then for me, I think the only other thing I get involved in is like intramural sports. So I still play a lot of basketball, play a lot of tennis. So just trying to stay active as much as I can. So.
Any other questions? Oh, Ms. Kim.
Miss, you got a question?
What are you thinking about college? And if you were, like, I don't know, what advice would you have to someone that's 14, 15, and it just seems so far away?
Yeah. For me, I was definitely thinking about college. It was something that was always on my plate. My mom had always really stressed the importance of getting a degree. She didn't really care what I went into. She just wanted to make sure I went to college. College is a really great time to have some fun. You get away from your parents. You kind of do what you want. But you also have a lot of responsibilities. So for me, like, that seemed like a great opportunity. My mom's she hovers a lot, so I was happy to get away from her. But for me, I remember as a freshman in college, I was actually trying to play college basketball. So my focus wasn't on medicine at that time, but I knew to play college basketball, I had to have the grades, and so to get recruited. I ended up getting hurt, so that's why I didn't play college ball. But for me, I always knew that was a stepping stone, and college was always going to be an option. I think the thing about college, besides it, being a great time to just be on your own and have your own time, it's a gateway to other things. You open so many doors when you go to college, and you have that extra piece of paper. This end of the day is what it is, but it opens a lot of doors for jobs and for opportunities. You meet a lot of really great people, and like I said, it's a great time to also just get out of your parents' house. So that was my favorite part about it.
Agreed.
What made you choose to become
For me, surgery was always kind of the end goal. Even coming into medicine, I really like working with my hands. I like anatomy, so it was a way for me to explore anatomy, but also be able to fix problems. I'm not one of those ones who likes to sit and talk and think about things for a long period of time. If there's a solution, I want to fix it. So that's kind of what surgeons do. Like, they see something, they fix it, and that's what it is. So that kind of fit my personality. And I think also with surgery, it's a lot of fun, especially trauma critical care. You never know what's going to come into the emergency room. You never know what's going to happen. So you got to be on your toes the whole time. So it's a little bit of adrenaline rush as well. Which I guess feeds into my need for adrenaline since I play so many sports.
Hey, Terrell.
How often do you use math?
Every day. When you're calculating, it's a little bit of math, and it's also a little bit of memorization, especially with calculating medications and giving people fluids and stuff like that. You use math like that, but it's none of super crazy math or anything. It's very basic, times, minus, plus, all that type of stuff. No calculus or anything like that.
How old are you now?
Old enough. But I'm almost 30. So. Yeah.
She said she's almost 30.
Oh.
All right.
29.
Okay. We have a question from one of the classes upstairs. Do you enjoy being a doctor?
Yes. I think the best way to say is when they say that, when you find the field you love, you go to work and you don't feel like you're working every day. There are some days where I do feel that I'm working. It's hard. It's a struggle, but at the end of the day, I'm very happy with what I do. I'm very happy to get up and go to work every day. I don't see myself doing anything else, and I think part of what I did was after college I took some time off and I did a bunch of other things. And I just wasn't happy, and so when I went to medical school, I knew this is what I wanted to do, so I have no regrets about going into medicine. Any other questions?
Any other questions?
No, not really.
All right, everyone, let's give Imani a round of applause. Oh, we have one. I'm sorry.
We have one. Stop that.
Sorry. There's one.
So,
Hold on. You guys, please, let's rein it in. All right?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
the last question was how long does it take? So when you go into medicine, you just have to spend 4 years in college. You have to have some sort of degree coming out. Like I said, it can be in anything. And then it's 4 years of medical school. And then from there, your training kind of depends on what specialty you go into. So for some people, training is only 3 years. And for me, I'm on the longer side because I have a highly specialized specialty. So that's why for me, it's going to be 7 years. Within that 7 years, I also will be doing research for a couple years. So general surgery residency is a minimum of 5 years, but I'll be doing 2 years of research while I'm in residency. So that's why it's 7.
Any other questions?
She's a dyke.
Oh, right there.
What are you researching?
So for me, my research is all in health services and health disparities. So I'm basically looking at, in communities like the one I grew up in, like why aren't people having access to care? Why aren't they able to get what they need from their communities? Not just in a healthcare setting, but financially and educationally. And I'm finding ways to improve that, finding little things that the hospital can do to try and improve care and improve quality of life for people living in those communities.
What was your GPA in high school and in college?
In high school, I had a 3.1. In college, I had a 3.0.
So B's and above.
I wasn't your typical pre-med with the 4.0 thing. So.
One last question? No? All right, everybody, let's give Imani a round of applause.
Okay, Ken, hold on. Okay, time out. Okay, guys, we'll take pictures with this lady right here. Sean, sit down. Sit down. Oh.
Sit down. No, I didn't. Not at all. Okay. No, it's supposed to be of you guys. Actually, I'm gonna get. Your class actually is supposed to take a picture with her. So have you guys lined up. Yeah, in Miss class.
Why do we get to go? Why we don't get to go?
Do you want to be in a picture?
No.
You know what? It's too early. It's too early. Yeah, you guys' class. So kind of line up right there.